All right. Now that we got recording going, I'll start all over. No. In Dave McDonald's talking essentially about from February through May, 1st of May, CMS was down and stuff. And so he's saying, I would like to use this May message to share some of the remarkable accomplishments MUFON has achieved so far this year. Our community continues to thrive, and with membership applications pouring in at an impressive rate, sometimes as many as 30 to 100 per day. Our field investigator applications are at an all-time high, but that's not all. Our app sales have been incredible, and our UFO mapping application has been recognized as the #1 app in the mapping and tracking category by Google. It's available for purchase in all 50 states and 46 additional countries. Our advocacy efforts have been equally impactful. We met with over 300 members of Congress and committee staff, even presenting to the Senate Intelligence Committee. We actively shaped legislation in both the 2022 and 2023 NDAAs, the National Defense Authorization Acts. Additionally, we earned a Dear Colleague letter of support to advise the ARROW, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office at the DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency. This partisan letter underscores our commitment to rigorous research. In the media realm, we've gained increased TV programs. Congress and the Senate now receive our quarterly statistical reports, special reports, and white papers. Our symposiums have hosted influential speakers, including Representatives Andre Carson, a Democrat from Indiana, and Tim Burchett, Republican, Tennessee. We've even briefed House and Senate intelligence in a SCIF, a sensitive compartment and information facility. What's truly remarkable is that these achievements have been made possible by our dedicated volunteer force. These wins belong to every one of you. Thank you for making MUFON great. This brings me up a need I wrote about in an earlier journal message regarding the need for leadership and roles and are available due to the continuing growth. Not only are there a need for state directors, but regional directors, assistant state directors, and section state directors. We have been interested in moving up in MUFON. Please call HQ. We just keep growing and expanding, and that's a good thing. These are some of the statistics that we've got so far. Nebraska's got 8 submitted cases this year, and Iowa's got 4. And you can see all those zeros up at the top. That would have been the time frame when CMS was down, so nobody is able to report. Here's another look at it.
Is Marty working on our one case?
Yeah. The totals again by the years. So we normally run around 50 or 40 to 50 a year, depending on the state. And Kyle's coming up to do something about it.
I'll cover them.
Okay.
So yeah, normally we just do the MUFON meeting numbers, how many people each month. The spike on here, that's when we had the summit or symposium that was in March. So we had up to 84 people, which is great. And then you can kind of see, our average going across there. And then after the symposium, we dropped down to 21, and now we have like 10. Everybody got their interest out of the way, it seems like. Yeah, they'll be back. Everybody comes back. And then this here, so then I go average by year. So here you can see average. So this is just that total amount of people divided by how many meetings we had. This has been going up, and since I counted the symposium, we're way high for this year. So, and then this here, just an overview again. This is doing a table manner. So I got the by year over here, 2020. Once COVID hit, we started recording all this stuff. Had 7 meetings that year, and 84 people, and then all the way down to here, and then I have the average on the other side. At the top, we can see the total number of meetings, total attendance, and the average per meeting for all the meetings. So if we get 15 people today, we'll be at 1,000 people who've attended these meetings in what, 5 years. So that's my big news. We want to hit.
Carrying out that to the 8th degree.
So we got 5 people online, and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we need 3 more people and we'll be at 1,000. So that's a big milestone, I think. There were some people interested. They come, when's this meeting start? I'm like, little kids. Once those games get done, they just run around and scream. They like to run up and down these. So I'm told them, now get out of here,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but you're 100% sure that next meeting you will break 1,000.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, well, yeah. If I'm here, Greg's here, and Fred, we got it.
And these next stats, this hasn't changed since January. So they haven't sent out any new updates on the statistics. So we're still, Nebraska and Iowa are still at 100%. So that's all that matters.
Yeah, no, there was a new one, wasn't there, Greg? Because they kicked us down because the CMS has been down.
I didn't see the new one.
Yeah, we were 45th and you were 5th.
Yeah, because we had a few cases
Wow.
open.
I'll put that on next month.
Yeah. Hopefully next month we're back up there.
All right. You want to come up and talk about your cases? Because they're not going to be able to hear you from there.
I'll do this one, Fred. The balloon.
Now you can go.
Yeah. All righty.
It's no big deal.
We don't practice ahead of time, so pardon the confusion.
Oh, we just do it, Not like there's much to this case. So this one here, short description, could have been a possible balloon. Fred looked it up on Flight Radar 24, saw that there was a balloon in the location. So
Case solved, rapid case closed.
yeah, I did a rapid case close on this one, IFO balloon. So there we go. Any questions?
We have pictures. Is that?
Oh yeah, I think there was a picture. Yeah, there you go. You got it.
It was at 68,000 feet.
That's
Floating around at 9 miles per hour. Going into the,
Was it from China?
no.
Yeah.
Decimal place.
The next one should be yours.
all right. We'll move on.
It was 9
There's
miles,
Fred.
9 miles an hour in the northwest direction.
This is Fred doing the ERT one.
If he wants to.
If he wants to, he doesn't look. He looks perplexed.
Oh, yeah, man.
That one. He'll talk about it. Get the cane. Pull him up here.
Well, this was a case, I don't know, the guy was fairly nice. He's about my age, in the 70s, and reported. And I chatted with him for a short time, and he had a hard time remembering. So I asked him about some past histories. It seemed like he might have had some markers with, he had some dreams and some exciting sightings when he was a kid. But then he said he had something in his leg earlier on, like I think when he was younger. And I think it was like a piece of pencil lead that got into his leg or something or another. And then this thing that I didn't even give a picture of this, but he said he had something in the ear and it was wiggling around and it was making all kinds of musical tones in his ears. It was really fabulous to hearing all these tones coming in the ears. And then evidently the thing popped out, a little bit of blood came out of the ear, and I looked at the picture. I couldn't really make anything of it. He thought it was kind of a fibrous piece of a material that got in there. It could have been a bug. I don't know. But he wanted to report it, and so that's pretty much what it is. But I had a nice visit with him. But he didn't have enough markers to have any sort of a ET experience, so just chalked it up as information only and kind of a lack of information on that one. That was it. Thanks.
Was that an in-person interview or? over
On the phone. Over the phone.
All right. Start out with some Nebraska New Fork reports here. This one was on April 24th at 5:35 p.m. It's Standing Bear Lake in Omaha, Nebraska. Possible balloon. It says, saw in the sky a couple thousand feet high. It was walking around lake. Saw it in the sky a couple thousand feet above. It was not moving. We walked by some trees and it was gone, and we see the sky again. So it's Omaha. And we've got some Iowa cases here. This first one here was on March 15th, 2024 at 4:07 in the morning, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. 3 lights suddenly dart and turn. It says, I was letting my dog out just past 4 a.m. I was looking all around at stars. Suddenly, where I had looked seconds before in a starless patch of sky, there were 3 white lights all in a row. They were the same size and brightness as other stars. They moved with incredible speed simultaneously from the southwestern sky, veering off to the north. There was no sound as it passed overhead, and the entire encounter lasted for just 2 seconds. This next one was down in Ottumwa. This happened on March 31st of 2024 at 6 p.m. They were on the south side of Albia Road, probably about 20 miles an hour. It wasn't going very fast, was the estimated speed. It was a white car-shaped object moving across the sky quite a way up there between the clouds. We saw the same object twice. No lights, just a white object. Reminded me of a small car, compact car. Then the next one down here in the lower corner of Iowa, Keokuk. This happened on April 6, 2024 at just after midnight, in the morning, just after midnight. The estimated speed at thousands of miles per hour. It's the ball of light changing direction like a known aircraft, capability exiting at extremely high rate of speed. I happened to be walking out of my bathroom and seen through the window a very bright light, which looked to be over my neighbor's home. By the time I got to the window to try to watch it, the light had dissipated. I walked outside to investigate further. The light was navigating in very unconventional ways, changing direction on a dime, stopping and pausing and accelerating back to the initial speed it was traveling before it paused. I returned to the house to inform my family what I was witnessing. One of them returned outside with me. The light continued to swirl over the house at a distance, getting brighter and dimmer throughout the time we observed it. The light eventually went straight up in the sky on the horizon, made a 90-degree turn, and accelerated east at an extremely high rate of speed I've never witnessed before until we lost it behind a set of trees. And then this last one case was over in the Des Moines area, West Des Moines. This happened on April 14th of 2024 at 11:45. It says, I saw it fly over the hotel and it was huge, a very large triangle. The main color was dark gray. It had dark gray, black lines underneath it, side to side of the craft. And there were no lights on it, and it was completely noiseless. It was hovering very low to the ground. It never made a sound. Those are the New Fork cases that we got. And some UFO UAP news highlights. I know that this has audio, Kyle, so
I didn't click share up, share sound. So we should be good to go.
okay,
I
so,
just don't know how loud it'll be on our end.
yeah, I don't think it'll be very loud on our end, but I can start one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Does the U.S. government have an ultra-secret UFO program? Well, some high-ranking lawmakers believe that they do, including the top Democrat in the Senate, Chuck Schumer, who says multiple credible sources claim the U.S. government has illegally withheld UFO-related information from Congress. Joining me now, former State Department analyst Marek von Reinenkampf, an opinion contributor for thehill.com. You know, it's not fair that I have to do German first thing in the morning there, Marek. You got me there. You wrote an op-ed titled, "Top Senators Believe the U.S. Secretly Recovered UFOs." Talk to us about that. Senator Schumer, along with several other lawmakers, want to reintroduce legislation that would force the government to release information they have obtained regarding reverse engineering UFO programs. What kind of impact would that legislation have if it actually passed, and how would that impact the average American?
Well, good morning, Nick, and A+ on the name pronunciation in the morning. So thanks for having me. And no, it's an intriguing question. And at the end of the day, when we see the Senate Majority Leader, and this is two successive Democratic Senate Majority Leaders now, Harry Reid and Chuck Schumer now, if you read between the lines, are alleging that the government has these very secretive, unreported, technically illegal UFO retrieval and reverse engineering programs. And that's astounding. And it's not just them. It is some of the biggest names in Senate, recent Senate history have been intimately involved in this effort to learn more, to uncover more. And look, I think if this legislation passes, it was introduced about a year ago and did not pass because of some opposition from a key House lawmaker. But indications are from Senator Rounds, the key co-sponsor, and some other senators that we may see this reintroduced. And if it is, I mean, it's astounding to see in the original version, 64 pages of legislation and the term non-human intelligence introduced 24 times. I think that's astounding. I want to also add, not many people know this, but President Biden signed legislation in December that actually does mention non-human intelligence explicitly in the context of UFOs. So this is already in federal law, and we may see more of this in the coming month or so.
But Marek, I have to ask you though, as a former State Department analyst, you, like myself, having been a former federal employee, you've had a security clearance. You understand the need to keep some things away from the public. Is it possible that the government really does know more than they believe it would be safe for the public to know? Because you cite multiple years worth of example of high-level lawmakers pointing to this secret information. Is there a reason why this information is being kept secret?
Well, that is probably the $2 million question, Nick. And, you can think of any number of reasons. Some whistleblowers have suggested that simply what they call the ontological shock, the shock of this kind of a revelation being made public, would be too much for political, social, cultural, financial, or economic reasons. But that being said, if there is indeed some of this remarkable technology of unknown origins, there could be very good, very legitimate national security reasons to keep that secret. We don't put our thermonuclear weapons designs on the internet for a reason. They're not out there floating around because of the essential or the inherent dual use nature of some of these technologies, right? They can be used for incredible good, but they can also be, and when in the wrong hands, can be incredibly destabilizing. So I absolutely think there is a valid reason to potentially keep some of this information if it is actually true, and if these are still allegations, but if this is actually true, absolutely, Nick. I think there is a compelling reason to keep some of it secret.
Marek, I have less than 30 seconds. What happens if the Senate proves the existence of illegal UFO programs? What's next?
Oh boy, that is a deeply profound question. I think the way the legislation is written, it is a long-term process. There is a controlled disclosure campaign in this legislation. So this is a long process, and that's a much longer discussion, Nick, and I hope to maybe have that discussion with you in the future.
And Mark, you are always welcome to come and join us in studio. Marek von Reinenkampf, does the U.S. government...
Oops. Slides.
Right.
Does the
All right. This next one's about, are there any questions on that one or any comments? Yeah, all right. This next one's about Kona Blue. It was about a proposed UFO technology program that.
Now.
More than a decade ago, the largest UFO investigation ever funded by the government was based here in southern Nevada. That program continued for a mere 27 months, and when it ended, there was an even more ambitious plan in the works, something code-named Kona Blue.
Documents about the Kona Blue were classified as top secret, but have finally been released by the Pentagon. 8 News Now Chief Investigator George Knapp here live in studio with more on this story.
Well, as you both know, the Department of Defense isn't exactly known for its transparency and honesty when it comes to UFO investigations. So why come clean about Kona Blue? To understand that, we have to explain what led up to Kona Blue and why Las Vegas would have been right there in the thick of it. Be forewarned, you will be exposed to dueling acronyms.
Why isn't it made obvious in any of the documentation that's been made public so far?
It was completely UFO related.
Dr. Jim Lakatsky spent most of his career as an intelligence analyst and missile expert for the DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency. In 2007, he became interested in reports of UFO activity at certain hotspots, including a Utah property known today as Skinwalker Ranch. Lakatsky designed OSAP, the Advanced Aerospace Weapons Systems Application Program. He met with Nevada Senator Harry Reid, who helped secure $22 million in black budget funds. The contract was awarded to a subsidiary of Bigelow Aerospace. OSAP became the largest acknowledged UFO investigation in U.S. history, with 50 full-time employees, most of them based in southern Nevada. OSAP created the world's largest UFO data warehouse and produced more than 100 technical papers, though not one page from those reports has been made public by DIA. But Lakatsky and his Las Vegas colleague, Dr. Colin Kelleher, co-authored 2 books about OSAP, reporting as much as Pentagon censors would allow. In one book, Lakatsky revealed that back in 2011, he had informed a U.S. senator and a high-ranking official that, quote, the U.S. was in possession of a craft of unknown origin. The craft had no intakes, exhaust, wings, or control surfaces, no engine, fuel tanks, or fuel. In other words, the U.S. had a flying saucer. Since then, Lakatsky has declined to say more than what the Pentagon authorized.
There was more to it, considerably more to that discussion about what this situation was. We can't go into that.
But the public is now able to read much more between the lines because of the surprise release of a document declassified in February by the Department of Homeland Security. It describes a proposed UFO program codenamed Kona Blue. Not mentioned is that Kona Blue was drawn up by Lakatsky, Kelleher, and some OSAP colleagues as a successor to OSAP, and was intended to not only study but to exploit UFO technology. The papers do not mention UFOs, but there are plenty of clues. The purpose of Kona Blue was to, quote, identify potentially disruptive technologies by analyzing material of unique origin and engineering. Success would depend on gaining access to said materials. Kona Blue would establish a system to collect sightings of such technology, including at locations where there are frequent reports. There are references to advanced technology that's already been recovered. One section notes this recovered technology exists only within special access programs. Kona Blue would have created a medical division to study physical and psychological effects on humans from encounters with advanced aerial vehicles. And there's this chilling note that Kona Blue experts would, quote, handle and examine unusual and unique biological specimens. What might those be? Like OSAP, Kona Blue would have been based in Las Vegas. The document notes that buildings already cleared to handle top-secret material were standing by. But in 2009, when Nevada Senator Harry Reid wrote to the Department of Defense to ask for a special classification for the DIA program, alarm bells were set off in Washington, opposition mounted, and the program's budget was pilfered. That's why in 2011, Lakatsky, Kelleher, and others tried to find another home for what they called Kona Blue. The document showed the Department of Homeland Security was briefed about what OSAP had learned. Deputy Secretary for Science and Technology, Dr. Tara O'Toole, was impressed enough to sign off on Kona Blue. But as with OSAP, when top officials began knocking on doors to ask for access to special materials stashed in secret cubbyholes, opposition to Kona Blue quickly mobilized, and the proposed program was stopped dead. To date, Dr. Lekatsky carefully measures his words when asked about the special materials they tried to access.
There's material and there's material. Are you talking about material to be investigated? In other words, pieces falling off flying saucers? Or are you talking about full-blown craft? You know, there's a big difference.
Oh, yeah. Kona Blue was declassified by AARO, which is the current UFO program, as a way to discredit evidence and testimony provided by witnesses and whistleblowers. The former head of AARO, Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, says the people who came forward to tell about crash saucers were all referring to Kona Blue. Of course, that is preposterous. Kona Blue never existed, and only a handful of people even knew it was proposed. So what witness says they saw crash saucers as part of Kona Blue? AARO says there are no crash saucer programs, but they will not release the testimony they received. Also, as a personal note, Dr. Lekatsky and Dr. Kelleher wrote those 2 books we mentioned in that story. I was also a contributor. They sent me out for coffee, things like that.
So, George, if any reporter knows about this topic, it's you. You also have to maintain your sources. Is this one of those things you knew about but maybe couldn't say anything?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I was aware of this proposed program. We included a detailed description of it in one of those events, Skinwalkers at the Pentagon, that came out in 2019. But the code name was classified, so I didn't know about that because I do not have a security clearance. So, you know, some things they keep back even from me.
Thanks so much.
Sure.
Now.
More than a decade.
Now.
Any comments on that last video? Anybody? I've got another one here that UFOs in 80 knot winds.
You remember back, Matt Gaetz at the July 26 hearings brought this case up, and some interesting details have emerged, including does a video actually exist? And AARO's response that it's a commercial lighting balloon, or 4 of them in a perfect formation, doesn't make sense, especially when you're considering 80 knot winds. Thanks for being here. Let's get to the show. Chris Lato, welcome to Lato Files. There's a recent tweet from Lou Elizondo. Exactly right, Ross. No video exists and nothing to see here, folks. Well, okay, actually, there is a video, but we can't release it because it's too sensitive of an event that wasn't sensitive. What type of logic is that? If we look at Ross Coulthart's tweet, this DoD AARO Freedom of Information Act response acknowledges a video does exist from the January 2023 Eglin Air Force Base UAP sighting, but refuses to release it. But someone's not being truthful because DoD AARO officially claimed in its report that there was no video because the jet recorder was not working. And if this object was just a balloon, why is it a national security secret? So this is the actual FOIA request. The responsive video you're requesting is not releasable to you in accordance with 5 USC exemption. Protects from disclosure information about matters specifically authorized under criteria established by an executive order to be kept secret in the interest of national defense or foreign policy. According to an article by Mark von Rennenkamp, the Pentagon is lying about UFOs. Congress held a historic hearing on UFOs July 26, 2023. If you remember, he had 2 former Navy fighter pilots, Ryan Graves and David Fravor, also with David Grush, relaying their events with direct visual confirmation of UAPs and amazing capabilities from these objects in an amazing exchange with Representative Matt Gaetz. I've covered a couple times on this channel. Gaetz described how he received a protected disclosure from pilot at Eglin Air Force Base, a major there, regarding a January 2023 UFO incident over the Gulf of Mexico. He was stonewalled by the Air Force and asked a House Oversight Subcommittee to subpoena radar data and images from the UFO encounter. In the hearing, Gaetz said from the images he saw of the object, he was not able to attach to any human capability, either from the United States or any of our adversaries. And he had worked on the Armed Services Committee for 7 years. So he had some experience with this topic. His office received a protective disclosure of a UAP encounter off the coast of Florida from Eglin Air Force Base. He traveled to Northwest Florida with Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett and Florida Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, where they asked to meet with the pilots and see any images and radar data from the incident. He says, "We are not afforded access to all of the flight crew, and initially, we are not afforded access to images and to radar." Thereafter, we had a bit of a discussion about how authorities flow in the United States of America. And we did see the image, and we did meet with one member of the flight crew who took the image. Gates said the pilot told him they were doing a test flight over the Gulf of Mexico on a clear day when 4 objects were identified on radar flying in a diamond formation. Gates said he's personally seen the radar data from the incident. One of the pilots goes to check out that diamond formation and sees a large floating, what I can only describe as an orb, he said. And again, not have any human capability that I'm aware of. And when the pilot approached, he said his radar went down. He said that his FLIR infrared camera system malfunctioned and he had to manually take this image from one of the lenses. Gates also said that the pilot told him explicitly that reporting UAP incidents is discouraged. He said, "It was stated explicitly to me by these test pilots that if you have a UAP experience, the best thing you can do for your career is forget it and not tell anyone. Because any type of reporting, either above the surface or below the surface, does have a perceived consequence for these people. And that is a culture we must change if we want to get to the truth." So from AARO's released report, this is pilot's drawing of the reported object. You can see gunmetal gray here, gray on the bottom, and then it said as an orange, reddish, looked like some sort of engine attached to the side. It said blurry air was underneath, so blurry air but no smoke. This is, I'm guessing, the 2 images. One image off the FLIR, off the electro-optical IR system, is here. And then this coming straight off looks like the targeting pod image to me. AARO's response is that it is one of these, a commercial light-all, commercial lighting balloon. 4 of them in some perfect diamond formation released. According to Mark von Rennenkamp, in his article titled "The Pentagon is Lying About UFOs," this so-called explanation of a large commercial lighting balloon insults the intelligence of any reader who takes a few moments to review the details of the incident. It did not convince the world's most prominent UFO skeptic. The pilot's sketch of the object, described as akin to an Apollo spacecraft, bears no plausible resemblance to the design of any known industrial lighting balloon. That would be from Mick West. This Eglin UFO looks like a white sphere wearing a hat. The image on the left is the IR thermal image, adjusting the levels only. It shows a quite irregular hat, which is not really consistent with the lighting balloon hypothesis. Mark von Rennenkamp called the Florida-based company that produces the high-end commercial lighting balloons alluded to by the UFO office, AARO. According to the firm, it is unheard of that such industrial-grade tethered balloons would spontaneously float away. Unheard of. In a brief video, Emmy-winning lighting designer Matt Ford, who has used the lighting balloons in question, detailed the sheer absurdity of the Pentagon's explanation. It gets more interesting because Mark von Rennenkamp reports that there were 80 knots of wind at altitude that day. So 80 knots of wind, how are these objects able to hold stationary? As Ryan Graves reported off the East Coast, these objects are able to hold stationary in hurricane-class winds. That's just impossible. Gates has stated that the Pentagon's assessment is incomplete and does not reflect all of the data I was shown. He also called for the public release of the images and radar data associated with the encounter. And this was from Mick West. With the new Eglin UFO, the fact that it had no airspeed recorded means that it's impossible to rule out that it was just a balloon or 4 balloons. It might also be an alien spaceship, but I'd put balloon at number 1 with the current data. So this is from the AARO report. UAP-1 operated at an altitude of about 16,000 feet above ground level. The second and third UAPs were noted at altitudes of 17 to 18,000 feet. The fourth was lost from radar. No altitude was noted. Moreover, no airspeeds were noted for any of the UAP in this report. So these are experienced pilots, actually, and seeing 4 of these commercial lighting balloons supposedly in a diamond formation in 80 knots of winds just seems impossible to me, especially if they're holding stationary. If we look here, what is the blurry air underneath with no smoke? What is that from? According to Aero, it's earth shine is what they call it. Just seems ridiculous to me. As reported by Merrick von Rennenkamp, just seems impossible that 4 of these would be released and then somehow stay within the same formation. And it doesn't make sense based on what we're actually looking at in the IR sensors. And another final question is there a video? Ross Coulthard pointed to that FOIA request. Is there an additional video? So quite interesting details released from Eglin Air Force Base. 80 knots of wind that day. How can you have these stationary objects that don't have any realistic, mundane examples? Matt Gaetz was stonewalled when it happened, and it sounds like he's not giving up. According to Senator Gillibrand, there is talk of public hearings this summer. Hopefully we'll actually get some public hearings and get more of this data released. Lou Elizondo also said he traveled to DC this past weekend to meet with interested parties. So hopefully it's spinning up and we can get more data released, more information, and hopefully some public hearings this summer, because we continue to get information like this released from Aero that doesn't seem to make sense. They appear to only be on the side of mundane explanations and not even considering listening to the pilots and listening to their actual accounts. And can we get a video released? Is there a video actually out there of the Eglin intercept? Would that tell us more information? I think so. So thanks for watching. Please hit the like button. Remember back Matt Gaetz.
Let me say swamp gas.
Yeah.
Or swamp gas.
Anyway, here's one that some people may have heard of recently. It's kind of a interesting one out of New York City.
I am going to make you a bet that the next time you get a window seat on a plane, you're going to think of this next story, and you're going to think of the guest who is going to talk about this next story. Michelle Reyes was flying over New York City with her daughter, and she was sitting by a window. When she did what a lot of us do, we, take pictures out the window, nice video of the New York skyline. It's an amazing view. But what Michelle did not expect to see was a cylinder-shaped object zipping across her line of sight near LaGuardia Airport. Was it a bug inside the plane, maybe? Well, she played the video back to look, and no, it was not a bug. Whatever it was definitely outside the plane, and it was flying on its own, and it was really, really fast. Michelle Reyes joins me now exclusively, and I want to welcome back Ben Hansen from UFO Witness on Discovery Plus as well. Michelle, thank you so much for being here. First of all, wow, that was pretty alarming stuff. What did you do with the video, and did you reach out to authorities to share it with them?
Thank you for having me. And when I realized that I had something like this on the video, the first thing I did was I emailed the FAA to let them know what I saw, and maybe it was a safety hazard. I reached out to them. Unfortunately, I haven't heard back from them. They didn't acknowledge my email. And then I sent it to Enigma Labs and the National UFO Database.
And any response?
Well, I guess Enigma Labs was the only one who responded to me.
So
that's
your
how I got in
dad
contact.
apparently. Oh, okay. So, and as I understand, your dad is a former Navy guy, so you were able to share with him as well. What did he say?
I showed it to him first, and he honestly had no idea what it was either. He had no idea. He was just as baffled as I was.
Did you guys settle on the fact that it maybe was a drone? It was going awfully fast to be a drone, but was that the best guess?
He thought it may be a drone, but he didn't think that it should be where it was, that close to the aircraft. So he really didn't have an answer for me. He was just as clueless as I was. he's seen a lot of things, and this he couldn't give me an answer. But if he had to guess, he would have said drone.
So it's a good thing Ben Hansen is here. You know, you host a show called UFO Witness. What do you think about this Tic Tac video, Ben?
This was incredible, honestly, because it took a while just for us to get in touch with Michelle. It wasn't for her posting it on the app. Someone had borrowed, sort of stole it from her social media and posted it as if they were her friend. So we had no idea who she was. We were looking up flights and trying to figure out which flight she was on. When we finally were able to contact her, she, for me, has been completely just genuine, sincere. We've now started to analyze the video, and I feel a little awkward saying this with her here, but find no evidence that she faked this or hoaxed it. I didn't from the beginning, but we had to run it through, you know, the proper you know, data analysis, and it's there. It's very clear, which is unusual. So to me, I feel as though this is probably something not terribly far in the distance, but it also, there's problems with the theory of it being something as simple as an insect, which I would suspect this was happening, you know, on the ground. We're talking 200 plus miles an hour at this point. Her jet is flying. So it passes in about 1/7 of a second, and it's present in 5 frames of the video. So there's a lot we can dive into with this, but we're,
you know. Shiny, giant, really fast insect. It definitely doesn't look like an insect. It certainly looks like the Tic Tacs that we've seen in other naval videos as well. And Michelle, did you say there was someone else maybe on that flight who you later were able to determine saw this as well?
Yes, I had posted the video onto my social media, and one of the other moms on the flight, she said that she had noticed it when she was in the air too. So I wasn't the only one who saw it. So it was kind of, you know, a little more like nerve-wracking that someone else also saw what I saw.
Well, I hope the authorities are watching tonight, and I'm sorry to say, you know, that you didn't get the attention that you should have when you alerted them to videos like this. I think it behooves all of us to just at least forward the information. We don't need to make judgment on it, but for heaven's sake, acknowledge that this is unusual, and it certainly does resemble some of the other unusual things we've seen before. Thank you for watching. Go to News Nation.
Anyway, any comments on that one?
Too big to be a bug.
Yeah, too big, too big, yeah. And it was fairly, usually bugs are a little more out of focus. This was fairly in focus. So it was kind of interesting.
So why was it dark?
Why was it dark?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what it was, so I don't know why it would be dark.
I'm just trying to figure out where the sun was coming from, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know. So
It does have a kind of a white spot on it though, or a lighter spot up in the top in the one side.
well, because you can see the tip of the wing of the aircraft. It was very, very bright. So I thought the sun might be shining in that direction. And so the sun was in it. Probably why you had a nice clear picture too, because the sun was shining on it. It was dark metallic in color. That's what it came up to be then.
All right. Let's see what we got next here.
It's definitely a fast mover.
Yeah. Fred, you'll be up.
I'm up.
Yeah.
Oh, ERT update. Oh,
Yep. Fred's going to give us an update on ERT.
oh.
Craig and I missed that Thursday meeting, so.
Oh, okay.
I figured you guys talked quite a bit about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we received a email from Dr. George Middich that he's the director of the ERT group with MUFON, and that our new procedures now is that whenever there's an ERT case that comes in, it will be directly assigned to the state director, and the state director will either take it, since he's a CFI3, or he will assign it to a CFI3. They will do a sighting report, even though most of the ERT cases are ERT case only. There's no craft, there's no nothing. So I have no idea. I think Dr. George Medich and all the other ERT folks are going, what just happened? We have no clue what transpired. We just had a state directors meeting probably a week prior, and we didn't have anything given to us at that time either. So, so now the state director gets it. They will do their Form 30 fill out, you know, which is really unnecessary from my point of view, but they want to do something of that nature. And then they will, I don't know if the state director, the CFI3 is allowed to even talk to the witness about their event. To me, that's a no-no, since they're not trained. They should have no affiliation with it. And a lot of the ERT folks are saying that's kind of redundancy, and people who have ERT cases want to talk to with one of us almost immediately. So now there's going to be a delay. The state director, a CFI3, is going to talk to the person, but then you got another guy coming in. Oh yeah, we're going to have another ERT guy come in to talk to your about your case, you know, about your. Then there may be they may have been a sighting, but majority of our ERT cases are not affiliated with any sort of sighting. It's just strictly had maybe a shadow figure in my room, or a light came down through the window. There was a being that was presented to me in the room, or vice versa. Those are the type of cases we get, which has no craft involved in it at all. So, but that's the procedure right now. Cases always go to the state director. State director goes to CMI3 person, can assign it to them. And then eventually when they're done with the Form 30 and stuff like that, they can, hopefully they'll address the ERT representative of the state, which I would be. And so Kyle, you'll clue me in that there's a case that comes in, and then that will proceed from there on. So
it sounds like I just fill out the Form 31 and then just hand it off to you, basically, right?
right. Or you could actually assign, of course, I have to be a CFI3. You could just sign the whole kit and caboodle to me, you know, do the Form 30 and then also do the ERT portion. So there should be two case dispositions, one for the ERT citing. If there's none, then I don't know what you would report, but then the ERT case disposition as well.
Do you ever figure out what your FI level is?
I think it's a 2. It's probably a 2. If I took the courses like I should have taken, I should be a CFI 3. So maybe I should jump on it and take the Mindy's courses on the MUFON University. So
I think, and that was the courses on there, we might be able to cover some of those at the meetings too.
Right.
So easy for everybody to go over them and ask questions.
So yeah, so I don't know if this is a done deal, but it sounds like, in course, George Medich got an email from Steve Hudgens saying we should have done this 6 months ago or a year ago. This format, because there seemed to be some confusion, because back in the days, if an ERT came in, it would go, George Medich would assign it, and it would go to us. And now, if there was a UFO case to it, then it would go to the CFI 3 or 2 or whatever. They would do the case, and then they would again get the ERT person involved in it. So, but I don't know. We'll see how things present themselves in the months ahead. All right. Any other questions on that? I am done.
Two claps. Yeah. Not even 3.
Did we want to come up and give us stuff at this point?
What do you want me to do?
Do we have some testimony?
Oh, here.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you wanna get up and talk.
Harold, do your thing, Harold.
I don't usually get up and talk.
Well, you are this morning.
Yeah, we have
You're our guest speaker today. That's what everybody knows me by. Okay. You're looking very, very well. You? Very well.
Yeah, go ahead, just sit here and the mic should be able to pick you up, so.
Well. You want to change it off the slide.
Oh, yeah, do that.
Break the camera.
Here, stop that. Hey, there we are. I'll throw the light on or whatever.
Okay, well, this happened to me in about 1973. It was at Fort Riley, Kansas. And I was a sergeant and I was charge of quarters that night. And my unit was out in the field. So it was just me and a bear staff in the barracks. I had a guy come in. He was in uniform, had no name tag, but had a set of fatigues on. And he started telling me about stuff that had happened to me when I was little. And one of them was that I had been visited before by the people he represents or the beings that he represented. And he told me that I would remember that when I had the measles, everybody thought that I was hallucinating, but there was one of these beings or whatever they were that had came and told me that everything would be all right and this, that, and the other. And I kind of forgot about it because, I was like, I don't know, maybe 6 years old, 7. And my mom had told me about it happening. So, that was just kind of a weird deal that somebody would know that I had the measles when I was that age, and that I would have had somebody tell me what all was going to go on. Well, then it's like I say, this was just like 73, about September or so. And in the barracks, this guy come up and he started talking to me. And he seemed to know a lot about me. And he said, he said that we have contacted you before, and we told you that we would contact you again. And so I said, well, I don't have any idea what you're talking about. And he said, that's when he said something about when I had the measles, in which, I had always kind of written that off as, with a high fever and the measles, kind of imagination. But he seemed to know quite a bit about it. And so I kind of started listening to him. And he told me, he says, there's things that I'll tell you that you won't remember. And there's things that I'll tell you that you will remember when it's time. And I really hadn't thought about this stuff for years and years and years. And then here the last 4 or 5 years, I've started remembering things that happened. Like he came in and he told me that we have been, his quote unquote was, we have been watching you and your race for years. And he says, I don't mean years as far as man is considered. He says it's millions of years. He says that people take and they think that we are the first ones that have advanced this far. But we are, the earth is 6 billion years old. And this has happened over and over and over again. We, as a man, as a human race, we look at something that be 500,000, 100 million, 500 million years old. But we don't think about billions of years ago on what has happened. And so this is kind of like it just keeps repeating itself. And each time we get a little bit smarter, I hope. But anyway, that was kind of the main thing that he had. And another thing that he told me was with man the way we are today versus what we were before, anything and everything that man can think of will come to pass. man will be able to do it. Time travel will come to pass because somebody has thought about it. It wasn't me that thought of it first, but somebody has thought of it and it will come to pass. And so, you know, he told me that when time was right, you know, I would come before a panel and tell them, you know, what I was told. And then he told me that he said it to prove to me that he was not human. He says, I'll show you something. And he took off his shoe and his foot wasn't like our foot. It had scales on it and kind of like a cauliflower texture to it. And it was a yellowish green. And he said, I would show you what I really look like, but he said, it'd scare you to death. And he was gone. I never was able to find him. I was sergeant in that company. I mean, I could find anybody. I never could find the guy. I never could find his name or anything. I haven't been contacted since, but you know, I'm kind of open to believing that, you know, hey, we're not alone. And if you think we are, you know, you're kind of a flower child, a blooming idiot. You know, they're going to plant you and water you because, you know, I think we are being watched. So that's about all I have to say. I mean, you know, that's about, you know, if you guys have any questions, you know, I'll try and answer. Yes.
Did he give like a name? What was his physical?
Never told me his name, and he had no name tag on his fatigues, and which is against regulations in the military. So I got no idea. I got no idea where he came from. I'd never seen him before. I have never seen him since.
So did he walk out from away from you, or did he just?
I don't know. I went out of the room, and when I came back, he was gone.
Okay.
I know he didn't come out of the room, out of the door, but I don't know where he, you know.
When you said when you're 6 or 7 years old with the measles,
Right.
you said there was a being that came. Can you describe the being that you saw?
Well, it appeared. I lived in Vesta, Nebraska, and it's just a little bitty town out down by Tecumseh. And he appeared in the chimney. We had a wood burning stove, and the face and the head was all I saw, but it appeared in the chimney above where the stovepipe went into, you know, because we had a wood burning stove back then. And so, but you know, I thought it, you know, if I remember correctly, you know, it was multicolored, and I thought it was a clown. You know, as a 6-year-old kid, you know, 7,
So
I thought it was a clown.
Just laying down.
I was laying in bed. Yeah.
Bed?
Yeah.
Was this in a?
I was being, you know, treated. My mom was there, but she's passed away now over 20 years ago. But I mean, it's just.
So you're in the bedroom and you've got this stove thing.
Right. And I was talking to it.
Right.
And my mom asked me, she said, well, what are you talking to? I said, well, him. You know, I mean, you know, I do remember that, but as far as, you know, I don't know a whole lot of, you know, well, you know, like I said, you know, I had probably 103, 104 fever. So I probably was, you know.
So did the face just
Well, yeah, it was just gone. You know, he was there, and then my mom says, well, there's nobody there. And he was gone.
Okay, so he just disappeared?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but like I say, you know, I don't know. It's kind of weird that I don't remember a lot, because I can remember stuff that's happened when I was in kindergarten and everything else, but I don't remember a lot about these two things.
So when he took his shoe off,
Right.
you said it looked
It had an he had an army boot on, and he unlaced it and everything, and he took it off, and he pulled the sock down. It was
Did he have toes of any sort?
he didn't pull the sock clear off, so I didn't see the end of his foot.
Okay.
I just saw like the ankle, and it looked like scales to me, kind of like
Reptilian?
like a chicken's foot, maybe has the scales there were that fine.
Right.
And then on the heel, it looked like it was a cauliflower type. It was not, not skin like we have on our heels. It was, but it was a yellowish green. And like I say, he told me that, hey, look, I would show you what I've actually look like, but it'd scare you to death, and they don't want to do that right now.
Right.
So I don't think they're here to harm us. I really don't. I think they're just trying to maybe get us ready for letting us know, hey, you ain't alone.
Did he say at all where he was from?
Did not.
Okay.
I didn't ask. I imagine if I'd asked, he probably would have, if he ever comes back, I'm gonna ask him.
Yeah.
But like I say, and I've had people sit there and say, oh, you're just imagining things and this and that. Well, you and I have talked. I had top secret clearance in the military, 22 years in the Army. I'm not, I'm a pretty stable person. And, and I don't really care if anybody believes me or not. I mean, it's,
Did he mention anything else in your past, in your life that?
No. Well, he told me when my wife would pass away, and he hit that dead on.
Really?
Yeah, he told me my wife would pass away when she was turned 65, right after she turned 65. She turned 65 on December 18th, and January the 12th, she died.
Oh.
And that was 6 years ago. So it was like 20, 30 years or 40 years before that happened. He told me when my wife would die.
That would be something. Do you remember when he told you then? One of those things, or?
I remembered it when she died. I remembered that he had told me.
You remember
Yeah,
that
then,
she died?
I remember the day she died, I said, well, that's when that guy told me she would die. And he told me when I would die too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How much?
He said I would be 82 years old, and I'm 72 now.
Okay, so you're not-
So I have about 10 years if he's right.
Well, he's shooting 100%.
Well, I don't know, it's one of them deals to where, I have no idea who or what this thing was, or he was.
Well, I say,
Well,
my ERT type of expertise, I say you probably, again, he was probably reptilian, kind of like.
yeah, more or less, I would say, and it was not, I don't think it was like the gray,
No.
I really don't think he was that.
What was his face and voice like?
Beg your pardon?
What was his face look like, and how does his voice sound?
He had a human face, I think he could I think he could take any form that he wanted.
Yeah.
I really do. And that, like I say, it was just like, when he took down the sock and he pulled, it's like he pulled down a mask type deal on his foot. So I'm figuring that he could have had, any type of, he could take any form really that he wanted.
Sure, I agree.
I mean, I don't, like I say, I've kept this for a couple years now. I've remembered it, and I've kind of kept it to myself, and I called Linda Moldenau or whatever.
Oh, really?
And she was the one that told me that, I needed to get a hold of you guys.
Oh, okay, great.
And so that's what I did, and you probably won't hear from me again unless he comes back. But, at least I know where to go and what to do now. I mean, that's what I ran into was, when I was trying to find out, who to get a hold of and what have you. No one really, no one could give me the information that I needed. And finally she did. So.
Well, keep us in touch with, if you remember anything more.
Okay, I can do that. I have Kyle's email, so I can get a hold of him and, and I'll, I don't have any problem getting along with people. Let's see.
Name of the gentleman.
Harold Thies. Thies.
That was a question on there or what it was.
You want to see my scaly?
I don't think you're an alien. Now you might be, but I don't think you are. Well.
Oh, they're asking for your name. It's from Dennis.
Harold Thies.
Oh, yeah, you said, yeah, okay.
Thies. So.
You said something earlier about they told you you were gonna go to Area 51?
Oh, yeah.
And
That happened when I came back from Korea. But that was the military that told me that because I had the top secret clearances and stuff. And I was coming home on emergency leave because my wife was in the hospital at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and I was stationed in Daegu, Korea. And so they flew me, well, that's a long story on why I was there, but the general sent me to Seoul, and I was put on a plane, and they sent me to Fort Ord, California. When I got to Fort Ord, they told me that I was going to be on a military hop from Fort Ord, California, or Travis Air Base, to the air base outside of St. Louis, Missouri. And then I would be stopping at Groom Lake, they told me. They didn't tell me Area 51. It was Groom Lake. And I would be the inspecting officer on the plane. Well, I was enlisted. So, you know, it was kind of strange because I had a general and 2 colonels on this flight. But when we landed, evidently they didn't have high enough clearance or something, which, you know, there was really nothing to see because all I did was escort a great big crate on a C-130 transport plane from Travis Air Base to Groom Lake. When we landed, there was like 4 or 6 MPs came in, called my name. I got up. There was a curtain that they had pulled. They opened up the back of the plane, came in with a forklift, pulled this great big box off that was painted black, and we went into this hangar. There was an officer in there. I think he was a major, but he might have been a lieutenant colonel. But anyway, we walked around the object and inspected it. And then we both signed it that it was undamaged and unopened and what have you. And then the MPs escorted me back on the plane, and I ended up flying to St. Louis, and then I had 2 kids at the time, and there wasn't anybody to watch them. So the Red Cross had been watching them for a couple of days. But other than that, you know, I have no idea what was in the crates. You know, the U-2 spy plane was being used then, and there were several other classified projects, I'm sure. And so, you know, I'm not going to say that there was anything to do with UFOs because I have no idea. Don't really want to know. You know, they can't prosecute you for something you don't know. So, but that's you know, like I say, you know, that's about all I know for sure.
Thank you, Harold.
No problem.
So so you said you're gonna be you're supposed to present this to a panel. Are we the panel?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. You know, now what you guys do with it is up to you. You may get a visit. I don't know. I mean, you know, I don't know. I don't know what's going to come with this. You know, I mean, I was told to make sure that I let people know. I let people know.
Yeah, and then when you're doing your outreach, you know, to try to find somebody to talk to, where were the first few sources you went to before you found us?
Well, I tried getting a hold of like the History Channel and Discovery Channel and, you know, these ancient aliens and, you know, the UFOs, you know, and what have you, but, you know, I couldn't. And then, like I say, I saw Linda on I think it was Ancient Aliens. She was talking to Giorgio, and I got on the internet and found her phone number. And, you know, everybody else that you call, nobody will answer.
Yeah.
Well, Linda does answer the phone. If you don't know it, hey, Linda does answer the phone. She personally answers every phone call if she is there. So, you know, and she, you know, she was the one that told me that I probably needed to get a hold of MUFON. And so that's what I did. So,
Hey, Linda's on our side.
well, okay, I don't know about on your side, but hey, she's throwing you some either some really crazy people like me or hopefully some good will come out of it.
Every Wednesday, she has her own show, her file. It's
So. But like I say, that's about all I know.
Okay, well, thank you, Mayor.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you. Hey. He got more claps than me.
Damn, I always get the clap.
It takes a lot. No problem. Yeah, it comes up since I watched.
Are you doing the journal then, or?
Well, I'm just gonna,
No, I was
just briefly talk.
Okay.
Then we're upcoming events and stuff. Unless you got other stuff to go.
No, I can cover the next meeting.
Okay. Okay, this month's journal has got what really happened in Las Vegas this past May. Some people still say it's a hoax, but may have not have been. And Foo Fighters article, fairly long article by a Ray Graham. He's Missouri field investigator. And prevarications and the other sins. But so if you're a MUFON member, you can get the journal either through email or you can get a hard copy of the journal. And please consider, if you're not a member, becoming a member. Some upcoming events here. We've got, first of all, are there any comments or anything from the audience and stuff that anybody wants to talk about or ask about? Nope. Okay. Upcoming events. This was an event that took place already.
Welcome back, everyone. UFO experts and enthusiasts from across the globe made their way to Eureka Springs this weekend for the 36th annual Ozark Mountain UFO Conference. The conference attracts thousands of people to Eureka Springs every year for panel discussions and world-renowned researchers. 5 News photojournalist Joel Katner has a look at what keeps people coming back.
This is one of the longest running UFO conferences in the world. I very much enjoy coming here to Arkansas and immersing myself in this event. It really is a very friendly conference and lots of fascinating things going on.
It's 19 or 20 years I've been doing this show. People always got to take something back to work because they're the crazy UFO people going to the show, so they have to have that on their desk.
There's a real hunger for this subject, a real desire to get to the bottom of this. And the people here, it's a vindication for them, because for years, I think even family and friends and work colleagues would just kind of give them a little smile and say, oh, you're off to a UFO conference. Well, now it's, oh, you're off to a UFO conference. I saw that Congress was doing something on that.
I think it's real important for the people that need to talk about things that they saw or don't understand. And this is the place you can come and people will listen to you. A couple times there was the tinfoil hat wearers, but most of the time everybody's down to earth.
And I think coming to an event like this is a chance to have some fun, but it's also a chance to really get up to speed on what's going on.
I'll be back next year.
Yeah, this video really, the background, the number of people really doesn't do it justice. When this really gets going with the speakers and stuff, that is really crowded. There's a lot of people that go to it. Anyway, that was the Ozark UFO Conference.
Did you go this year?
I went this year, yeah. And also coming up next Saturday in Marengo, Iowa, the library, I'll be talking from 2 to 3 o'clock, giving a talk about Iowa UFOs and other things MUFON related. So if you're in the Marengo area, stop by it from 2 to 3.
That was your last meeting. Wasn't that just?
Yeah, our last meeting. Yeah, we last meeting was was in West Des Moines. It was couple weeks back. It was a little bit complicated as far as the room we were in, but we got things straightened out and everything went well. And then coming up in July, again, we've got the MUFON Symposium. It's going to be in the Irving, Texas, which is the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And the next Nebraska Iowa MUFON meeting is June 15th, 2024, actually.
Well, we'll change that date too.
But it's so
Oh, yeah. So the next meeting will actually be the 22nd. Should be the fourth Saturday.
Oh, okay.
And we'll be over at the UNO library because they'll be doing maintenance on this whole area. So I figured, you know, I asked around and they have like an open gallery room kind of right in the main area there, and they'll set up a projector and some chairs and tables and stuff. And I figure I'm still working out all the details on it. You know, I haven't got the confirmation back, but I'm just planning on that for right now. I'm looking at having them get some like UFO books from their library and bring them down so we can view them. And maybe we can see if they can tell us how community members can check out books and stuff from the library, you know, so maybe have something of interest over there.
And it's going to be in the library?
Yeah, the UNO, library. Which is right by the clock tower, kind of, let's see, to the west. Right west of the clock tower. So if you park in the same lot, just go west and we'll be right on the inside. And then that's all you got for the presentation, right?
Yeah, that's all I have.
All right, do you have any other questions? Otherwise, we might end a little early today.
Okay, I have a question. Did you say it's not the 15th, but rather the 22nd of June?
Yep, it'll be the 22nd, and I'll send when the email goes out, it'll show it on there.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Anything else?
I got a general question.
Go for it.
You know, for years, they've been claiming that society is not ready for disclosure. You know, it'll freak out people and change paradigms, things like that. Anybody believe that anymore?
I think it's nonsense. I agree. I've given more than 300 talks and stuff. And when I first started giving them in the late 1980s, that was probably true. But right now, everybody's ready to go to the second level.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're real. So tell me some stuff. There's nothing, none of that would bother people.
Yeah, I agree.
I just wanted to say, Harold, I was outside in the hallway and Harold was talking to me about when he had the meeting with that one guy that had the crazy foot and colored scale, that they had a meeting around 7, 8 o'clock that evening.
Oh, crazy foot, huh?
Yeah, crazy foot. And he said, well, that was like 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening. And he said, well, you'll remember certain things, you know, and you'll forget others until the time being. Well, he said he walked out of the room and came back in. He found out didn't realize, he looked at his watch, it's 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I was gonna ask him about that too. I forgot to. Like,
So he didn't
why'd you leave the room and why'd you go back in? You know, it should have been.
So evidently there was some sort of missing time that went on with him where, I don't know, that maybe did some sort of intel on him or vice versa. So I found that very typical of some ERT cases, you know, where missing time like that. And he being observed for long periods of time. So he's a special guy. So we need to keep in track with him. So so that'd be good. Right.
All right.
What about, do you guys ever, with your ERT experiences, do you ever recommend anybody for hypnotherapy?
Well, yeah, that's up to them. You know, we have people here in town and.
We do have some people here.
Yeah.
Cool.
And, but MUFON has their cream spot guys that want to do it. So, but that's up to the person.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, the hypnosis stuff, I did kind of want to, I got a whole bunch of contacts. They had a holistic health fair where people do, you know, hypnosis and all kinds of other stuff. And I think we could get like a list together of some maybe like, you know, people we find credible. I'm not sure if I talked to you, Fred, about it. It was like next level hypnosis or something.
Yeah.
Might have been somebody else too I talked to, but yeah, you know, there's some people we could get that would be like credible, that we checked out their how they do it and it seems good, and then we can like make a list of that. So like if people do come to us, we can be like, hey, here's the list of contacts that we verified these people, they're good to go, you know, maybe you can try one of them or something like that. So that may be something to work on in the future.
You guys, did Tamara come today?
No.
Is she going to give us a little, next time she comes, is she going to give us a little outline or presentation on her Bigfoot conference?
Yeah, if she was gonna show up or whatever, I'd just ask her, hey, how'd it go? Give us the updates or whatever. Yeah, that's always of interest to me.
Well, I find it interesting, of course, because I want to know if any of the presenters focused on the whole thing of Bigfoot and UFOs, you know, because that has been something that has been combined. And I find it really interesting and want to hear everything about it. If there was a speaker, it would be interesting to hear what she might have to report. And one other question, is anybody going to the National MUFON convention?
Yeah, I'll try to make it down there too. So Greg raised his hand. I don't know if you see it on the.
Okay. Because I have a free ticket to the Dallas area, a free plane ticket. So I'm actually considering going, and I was just wondering if anybody else was.
That's nice.
Yeah.
You can also Zoom it for $79.
Oh, that's right, Roger. I remember you told me that. Okay, guys. Thanks.
Yeah. I guess then the last thing on that Bigfoot conference is I wonder if they recorded any of their presentations, because maybe that'd be something we could show or something. All right. Well, that's everything. We'll end a little bit early today. Again, next meeting will be the 4th Saturday of June, the 22nd at the UNO library. So hope to see y'all then.